Okay. So I'm in the studio here. Couple of things. First, I was going to show you some things on reports. This is more just for your information, and it has some things that it is possible to actually, those reports that we're making in the morning, you can sometimes attach them to this. Notice it has reports down here. I'm on the server level. There are different reports for the database level. When I click on that, there you go to standard reports or custom reports. And it is possible, as I said, to create your own reports. But I'm going to go to standard reports, and it has all of these different things. I'm going to do the server dashboard because it's kind of neat looking. And it gives you a list of like all of what's going on the server. So the server it started today at 9:50. It gives me the instance of it, the product version, the addition, the scheduled agent jobs. We have 4 jobs scheduled. That's from our last thing, I think. The collation is Latin. Is it clustered? No. Is it full text installed? Yes, we did that. Actually, we'll play with that. Is integrated security only? No, because we changed that. Number of processors is 4. So it talks about we have 16 active databases. Really? Total server memory, and basically goes through each of the things. And it gives you a little bit of some graphs just to make it pretty. So I just sort of wanted to show you that there are these reports, and you can make these yourselves and add them. If you go to databases, and you might have noticed on the server there were a lot of other standard reports. Transaction log, shipping status, we might look at that when we actually do that. Memory consumption, scheduler health, memory consumption, I'm just looking at that. So that shows basically the top consumers of memory on this, and etc. Not much is going on, so this is pretty boring. Notice, I think this one's totally empty. Let's go to...
Dirty or latched?
What?
Dirty or latched?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Latched, I think. That's actually a good question, what those terms mean there. Buffer pages. I think dirty means that it's not written to the actual file yet, so it's in transaction. There are, when you talk about locks, and we haven't talked about locks much, but there are different kinds of reads that you can have on a database depending on the lock that you put. You can have a dirty read, which means that you're reading everything, even things that aren't processed yet. You can have a clean read, which means you're only reading things that have been processed and you're ignoring anything in transition. And then there are variations between those two. So that's what I think dirty means. Latched, I'm guessing, means that are things that are written, but maybe somebody should look it up. Question? What?
Memory clerk.
I am not, these are all terms, I shouldn't have opened this report probably, that I'm not entirely sure with. I'm assuming that memory clerk is a built-in feature to monitor memory. So part of it is keeping track of things like the SQL buffer pool, how much room is being set aside to process SQL queries is what I would guess that
Could it be
is.
doing garbage collection?
It might be doing some garbage collection, but I think whenever you do a query, it tries to process as much as it can in RAM because it's faster. But when you guys do the all-in-memory thing, I mean, that's the theory behind all-in RAM, is that you do all your data processing in RAM because it's faster. SQL Server tries to do as much as possible in RAM. So I think it's like setting aside a buffer for that. SOS node, I'm not sure, unless that's just for emergency errors and things. SQL CLR, This is common language runtime. So it's setting aside some memory for that, which is like C#, things like that. We had to turn it on to do, was it the one you guys did together, right? The event manager.
Simulated.
Yeah. But I'd have to look up a lot of these things because I'm not entirely sure what the memory clerk is. I mean, we could certainly go do a quick lookup. I was going to look down here on the database, and if you do reports, there's reports on the database level, and these are different. These are actually reports for the specific things. I don't know if it'll have any. Let's see. We did a few backup and restores. Did I back up and restore Community Assist? I probably didn't. So I'm going to do reports, standard reports, backup and restore events. Do I have any? So it talks a little bit, and if you open these, it has empty tables. Theirs is the successful backups. So most of these reports are based on, if you go down to management, you will see that there are the SQL Server logs. We looked at those a little bit before. And most of these reports are based on these logs. So I just wanted to show you that those reports were there. And they can be useful, and it'd be worth your while maybe exploring them sometime to see what they got. And as I said, I'd have to look up some of the words that they're using. Memory clerk.
Definitions for dirty and large.
Okay.
Dirty. This value shows the buffers that have database content and that have been modified. These buffers contain changes that must be flushed to disk. Latched. A buffer is latched when a thread is reading or modifying the contents of a page. A buffer is also latched when the page is being read from disk or written to disk. A latch is used to modify or to maintain physical consistency of the data in the page while it is being read or modified.
Okay. So it has to do with dirty read and clean read to some extent. It's still a little not totally clear to me.
Yeah.
But a little clearer. Anyway, so these are the history of that. So you have different reports and you have the logs. If you're ever troubleshooting, the logs and the reports can help find something that's going bad sometimes. But it might be a trick to figure out where to look. I think in the logs, let's look at the log again. Let's just look at the current log. So most of these just have, I believe there's some different icons. I think these are just informational. But I think if there are errors, there will be exclamation points beside them. Right, they'll have different icons for errors and warnings. I think it's the traditional. So this is just a note. I think that there are different icons for when they have errors. Have you ever looked at the Windows logs? No?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the same principle. And in fact, all of these logs from here can be found in the Windows application log as well. I'll show you where that is real quickly. This stuff is actually kind of important when you're doing it. So I'm going to right-click Computer Management. We go here when I want to restart the server sometimes. Services and applications. Actually, I want just the logs, I think. Task scheduler, event viewer. So let's look at Windows logs. Let's look at the application logs. Nothing. There they go. So here we have information and here we have error. So we had some report server errors. I wonder if these were the ones. Oh, these are all today. What errors was I having with the report server today? Can always look at these.
Oh, when, no, that's again, you're trying to say.
So I did the first error. Cannot load the SQL PDW extension. And I think that's for the report. If I go to the details, does it have anything more? No, report server, ITC. It's the report server, so I think it's the when I was having trouble loading
Oh,
my brain is gone.
the report.
The report software, yeah. But you can see errors in here, and you can see if there's, so that's a SQL Server error, and it's in the thing. And if you go down, most things are information. Just for troubleshooting Windows and SQL Server, for that matter, these are really useful to go and see what the errors are. And not only they have also the time in which the error occurred. So just for troubleshooting, this can be really useful. This window, computer management, is literally the key to managing Windows. It's a very dangerous window. You can do some damage here.
In the Windows logs?
Not so much in the Windows logs, but just in the computer management. You have things like disk management. You can partition a disk here. And it's not always good at warning you when you're about to destroy everything. Services. This is where we go to start the SQL Server, but there is a list of every service on Windows running. Windows is mostly a set of services. Services run in the background. There's executable threads that run in the background. They don't have any interface. But then the programs on Windows in particular is built around those services. So different parts of the program call those services to do different tasks. So it's actually, Windows is sort of moving towards a service architecture. Even SQL Server is a service. It runs in the background. It is not the Management Studio. It has no interface by default. Management Studio is a client interface that's hooked to the service. These are good for troubleshooting too. Sometimes when your computer can't run, if you go into safe mode and go in here and shut off, turn off services, sometimes you can fix things. I did that once. It was hard. It took me hours to figure out which service it was.
So when they create a new operating system, they migrate a lot of the services.
So Windows, at least Windows, and I think mostly, yeah, they basically don't write an operating system from scratch. They have a core set of services and a kernel, and they just add to it, subtract and add. And that's true not only for Windows but for Linux. The core of Windows, I don't think has changed essentially a little bit, but since NT. And NT was built on a Unix core, which is interesting. So even Windows has Unix at its core. All right, all of that is secondary. Let's do the mail. Before we do the mail, we need to start the service agent. We don't have it on an auto start, right? So you could, if you go into services and change it from manual to automatic, it will start automatically like the SQL Server itself.
My SQL Server never starts automatically, even though it's automatic. Yeah.
It might be that I wondered sometimes, like on a laptop and in these virtual machines, if sometimes it doesn't start because it assesses that there aren't enough resources for it. Does that make sense? At home, I've never had it not be on. Here it dies all the time, but I've never had it die at home ever. So I don't know for sure what that is. So the reason I'm turning this on is that the mail thing won't work without it. Okay. And we're going to do, this was one of the things for today, but I think we'll do a lot of the stuff in here next time. What we want to do in here is, I think it's under SQL Server Agent. Let me open that. Now we got jobs, operators. Where is mail? There it is, right here under management. So I'm going to do database mail. And as I said, this doesn't always work. So I'm going to say configure database mail. And we'll start the wizard. I'm going to do next. And we want to create a new email profile. And we'll do these things. If it doesn't work, we can come back and manage and try to change things. So I'm going to do next. Yes, I do want to enable it. Okay. So I'm going to do a profile name. And so you could do your name. I wouldn't do my name. I mean, for you, I wouldn't do my name. I can do a description. So I'm going to do an ad. Okay, so my account name, I think I'm just going to call it Gmail. My Gmail account. I'm going to give it my address at Gmail. Gmail.com. Don't use mine. Display name is, I think, SP Conger. Reply email. I'm going to do that as a different email, though I don't know. I could do the same one, I think. Now, the server name is, I believe, is it smtp@gmail.com? Does anybody know? We can look it up. What?
I think that's what correct.
And the port is wrong. I remember that. Let's see if.
Have to put a different reply down?
What?
Do you have
I
to-
don't know,
It
actually.
has to be the same one? Okay.
So I'm going to go real quickly to Gmail. I don't think I have. Oh, I'm not logged in here. But I wonder, do I have to be logged in to find that? Let's just do this. I just want the port. It says 587 or 465. Let's try 465. And we'll say it does require this.
It requires security.
Yeah.
Where did you?
It's the checkbox right there.
I'm going to do basic authentication. God, do I remember my Gmail password? Tell you what, here's how I do that. I'm just testing my password because I don't remember.
So it's not the smtp.gmail.com or?
I think so. Hey, it worked, so I know what it is.
Should we do anonymous authentication or
I don't think it'll let you.
basic authentication?
Yeah. So I'm looking for my. So do your password. So, because I don't think Gmail will let you do an autonomous bounce off of their SMTP server. So if you don't have something like that, don't worry about it. So I'm adding in this. I'm going to do next. I'm going to make it public, although next. I think those are all fine.
You did make it public?
I did. I'm not sure if it matters in this context. So it says it's a success. That doesn't mean it's going to work.
That's a good attitude.
Well, but actually, if you do this as an assignment, if you get this far and do a screenshot, I'm okay. Let's see if I can test. I'm going to test my email. So if I go back to, let's kill the computer management, to database mail, I can send a test email, and I have to say to where. So I'm going to do Steve_Conger@msn.com.
Is it different? Is that a different?
Yeah,
email address?
because you're sending from.
Okay.
No, I don't know if I got one.
I don't
So,
remember the address or the. Oh, I know which one you use.
I don't know if it has to be a different one, but you have to put something in there. Guess I can do it here. Um, yeah, it doesn't work 90% of the time or 80% of the time. No, I don't see it. Well, actually, let's do, no, I don't want to do that right now. Google security alert for you. That's just because I signed in. So I generally don't, although it can take it a while, but I generally don't get it to work. I have, though. Weirdly, sometimes I've gotten it to work. It might be that we want to try, I think I killed that, but a different port. Yeah. So I used 465, right? So we could try. No, they have 993, but what is that? Okay, so incoming, outgoing. Google needs this to correct this posting. Use the table before. Requires SLS, yes, port 993. Outgoing mail, port 465 or 587. So let's try 587, I guess. So I'm going to configure database mail. Next, this time I'm going to manage. And I'm going to view or change an existing account. What was that port, 568?
587.
587. You can tell my memory is not good. This is the outgoing mail, 587.
View or change my system parameters.
Yeah. Okay. And I doubt if it's going to work now either, but. So I have to send this to. It worked.
But Google actually disabled
Oh, it says that it was disabled.
because of security issue.
Inbox. Other.
I guess it says it.
You got a disabled thing. I think you do have to enable it in Google, which I think I did once, but I'm not getting anything right now. But you did get it disabled. That's good. What did you do? You just did the 587 point? So the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show reports. It's like, no, view database mail log. So notice that it cannot be sent. So why was it? Mail cannot be sent to the recipients because of the mail server failure. Yeah, here's work. So as I said, I usually have about 2-3 people make it work, and I don't. Sometimes I do, but not very often. How many worked? At least get a message that you don't have the permission.
I got a message that I did.
Well, in your mailbox?
Well, I didn't get an actual message in my mailbox.
We could spend the rest of the day trying to get this to work for everybody, but I don't think it's worth it. As I said, if you had a workplace mail server, most of the issues wouldn't be issues. Right, and the point of this, which we'll do later when we do the SQL Server agent, is that you can have the database email you or text you when things are happening. So you set up the conditions, and we'll do that, I think, next time, because I want to give you some time to work on things today. But it'll, you can set it up so that if something is blocked, if there's a lock happening that shouldn't, it can alert you. If the volume is too large, it can alert you. If there's a security attack, it can alert you.
Like someone trying the same account.
Right, somebody's repeatedly trying to log in. So like if failed logins exceeds X or something, then you can have it alert you. It's in a way kind of a pain because it means you're never away from it. You know, you can be alerted, you can go away, you can be in Europe or Saudi Arabia or India, and you still get alerts from your SQL Server and have to try to remote in to fix things. So for doing this, because it really isn't something that's database specific, so you've actually, if you did it with me, you already did it. A screenshot of this or a screenshot of the successful making of it was fine. Yeah. That's actually good.
I closed
That
it
means it
already.
worked.
Oh, but I did not.
But you haven't set permissions in Google.
Oh.
So I might have something like that in Google too. That's fine.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily want in real life to have this coming from Google right now. Let me look at Google. I wonder if I have a warning in Google.
I think so.
Uh,
We'll just do like next, and then do a finish. Like, just like take a screenshot and just like success screen.
okay, so let's go to.
Then you have to change something first.
So I don't even have a warning there. It has a note about a new sign-in. So, but if you got that warning, that means you set it up right. It worked. It's just that you have to go into the settings in Google. So we got more settings. Is that there? Oh, it's over here. And so what we would have to do is we'd have to configure. I actually forget where they are. Comfortable, cozy, configure inbox. No. Settings.
What's our new email address format for Seattle Central? Is it your first name dot your last name
I don't
at
know.
seattlecolleges.edu?
Anybody
Yeah,
know?
you mean? That's what he's got. These are all full on at Seattle Central.
Oh, the one that uses Gmail is
I'm just looking. Button labels, my picture, personal, vacation. No indicators. There are some. Oh, we got all of these accounts, filters and blocked addresses, forwarding and pop. Keep Gmail's copy in the box. Disable forwarding. So that's probably part of my problem. So pop is enabled. IMAP is enabled. I think those both have to be. When I mark a message and IMAP is deleted, which message is marked as deleted? Folder size, is that configuration, your email clients, counts and import. I don't know. I always have trouble figuring out. There's so many of these. I don't want themes. I don't want offline. I think it's under IMAP. I think IMAP has to be enabled. And POP maybe needs to be enabled. But all that aside, if you're doing this, you're not going to be doing it through Gmail. You'll be doing it through company email.
It's probably posted on the Exchange server.
The chances are excellent that it would be an Exchange server, which, you know, it's really made to work with that a little bit more. Although the security, Exchange servers tends to be more secure. So it tends to have more things to configure. If you ever tried to, you don't have it as work email, so never mind. But configuring work Exchange server on like my iPhone, on my phone, it's not an iPhone, is just brutal.
Yeah. What was the phone?
Because you have to meet a certain security requirements on your phone before it will even allow you to make the connection. Yeah,
I found it just using the native Android email app, not Gmail, but like what's just called email. It's easy to connect to mice and see how the client is.
Okay.
but do they have all of that remote wipe stuff and all of that? I think it's just maybe for the work one. And also, yeah, I can connect to Gmail just fine. In fact, Gmail is a native for Android, but my address looks sort of like yours, but it's actually not on Gmail. It's on Exchange. So, all right. So that's that.
I see how
Can we turn that in, or do you want us to do it on,
What?
we just turn that?
You can just turn that in. There's no way to do that differently on it's server level, not. All right. So the last thing I wanted to show you today, and then I'll give you time to work on the other stuff that you need to maybe catch up on. So let's go. There's a chapter in the book that leads you through doing this, although I think it sets you up with a fake server. Going to skip data definition triggers. Dynamic management objects. These are actually, it sounds really complex, but it's fairly simple. So I'm just going to do like select star from sys.databases. All right. You've seen this before, right? We did this before. So the sys dynamic management views are basically these. There are a whole bunch of pre-built views, most of them with a sys name, that give you information about the databases and the server and all the stuff that's going on. And you can do complex joins to get various information. The book has a complex join that leads you through, but I'm just going to show you some of the basics of it. So these are all the databases on mine. And if I scroll down, there's a few more, right? So it goes and it lists all the databases that I have. It gives me a lot of information about it. It gives me the database ID, which I can use later. Like if I want to see the tables in a particular database, I could do that. The source, if it has a source database, and I think, let's see, we did a, yeah, Community Assist snapshot has the source database is 7. And if we go back, we'll see that 7 is indeed the ID for Community Assist. So the owner SID, I mean, there's a bunch of data here, more than you'll ever want to look at. Creation date of the database, compatibility level, the coalition name. You know, they're all set to multi-user, is read-only. These are mostly Boolean kinds of things, zeros and ones.
Snapshots.
What?
Snapshot.
Is a 1
Yeah.
for read-only. That makes sense. Let's go back to, yeah, snapshot is a 1. That's good. So, I mean, there's a ton of stuff here. And if you're trying to figure out what's going on, you can use a lot of these. Now, if I do, I'm going to just do select select name from sys.tables. And I'm going to do where, now I don't know what it's called. Actually, let's
Sometimes it pops up. Yeah.
Well, I want to see what the database is. A database ID. And so these are tables in master. Schema, parent is schema. I'm looking to see if there's a database ID. There's an object ID. Schema ID is 1. I wonder if I did schema ID equals 7. Is that the same as the database ID? No. What is the, so when we do system database, that's a database ID, owner SID, creation date. Do they have an object ID?
Doesn't look like it.
Object ID execute doesn't give me anything, but it executes.
Well, we have the database ID, but it should be related to, you should be able to do a, I'm going to try database principal ID, probably not, equals 7. I don't think that'll give me anything. I think that's a function. All right.
Put quotes on there.
I don't, well, maybe, but I think it should be, let's do, if we do use, this will give me this, community assist. So I'm going to do use community assist and then do use select sys tables. It's context sensitive, so it'll give me the ones. So these are the object IDs for that. Parent object ID is 0. Schema ID is 1. I'm just looking for a database ID in there, but I don't see. How do you hook the tables to the database? Because it knows that we're here. Type is U because it's user table. Type description, create date, modify date, is MS shipped, is published, is schema published, log data space, file stream, max column. Doesn't make, why isn't there a database thing in here? Is there a linking table between databases and that? Anyway, I'll do another just general view. Select star from sys procedures. And that would give me a list of all the stored procedures in this database. Again, it's in the context. This one has grant status, I think, has a schema. Let's see how it has schema ID. Let's do select star from sys dot schema. So client schema is 5. Notice that procedure was from 5, so I'm pretty sure I could do a join with select name. So you could do select sys views. I'm trying to think. Sys views name. I don't know if that works. I think what I have to do is select v dot name from sys.views, and I'm going to do that as an alias it as a v. Inner join sys dot procedures. Actually, let's do sys.schema. And let's make that as an S on v dot schema ID equals S dot schema ID. And then I'm going to inner join sys.procedures. I don't know if this will work. Procedures P on schema, or actually on P dot schema ID. It's not working. Equals S dot schema ID. I don't know that that'll work.
Should that be inner join?
It should be, or at least join, right? Let's see what we get if I do that. Oh, where? This is the thing I was going to do. Where schema ID. So let's do where S dot schema ID equals 5. So it should be everything in that schema, but I don't know if that'll work. It gave me the grant and grant status. Is that right? Is that all of it? Right. So if I go to Community Assist and Views, I've only got one client schema. And under Programmability, Store Procedures, I've only got one client schema. So it is working.
Why did you have to?
It ran, but it didn't give me anything.
Well, so one of the questions, are you in Community
I am.
Assist? The other is, did you create those two
We don't have one.
views? Because this might have been something we did while you were not here, actually. Are they both? I just wanted to show you can join things if you want. We can go through these, and what I was going to have you do is do a few of them. But if you want to know, if we look at views, and we go to System Views, so there's these information schema things, and then notice all these sys. There are a lot of them. These are all views. These are all what they call management views, dynamic management views. They're dynamic because they're live. And you can see there's a whole, I mean, pretty much anything you can think of asking about. There is a query for, view for.
I got something.
Right?
I got something. It looks like the same thing you got.
Okay. I think if you did these two objects, then it will have. So these are objects that are in the client schema. So we have partitions. I don't think, I don't know if that's, I'm just curious. It probably won't do anything unless I move it to that partition schema. Oh, it does show partitions. Wow, there's a lot of partitions. I didn't make that many. Oh, those are indexes. There's only one partition, though. Those are all different indexes on this partition. The index is probably the clustered index. Let's do, I'm going to say use partition example. And then, because these are kind of context sensitive, so we got partition number, there should be a bunch of, yeah, there are a couple of other partitions here. I only have one table on that other partition, so and there are 48 rows on 3, none on 0. Remember my partition, my dates were all wrong. So there's all the data's on one partition. These are different object IDs too. So one object ID. Two, three, two. I'm not sure. It's really hard to figure out the. Okay. So you might look at some of these. I think for the assignment, let's look at the assignment real quickly. I was looking at that to see how many people. So let's go to. So I said to try at least 10 of them. And then there's a page on the internet, the Microsoft's description of them if you want to. It has a list of all the different groupings of them. So just do, as I said, just do like 10 of them, whatever ones you want to look at.
Do you want to select or?
Just selects is fine. If you want to do some joins, I think in the book they have a really complex join where you're looking at a complex process. So it might be worth looking at that. But mostly, again, it's mostly so you know these exist.
All those system tables in Object Explorer, where are those?
Under views, system views.
So it's under any database, views, system views. Oh, I see.
So you can, if you haven't done the database mail, you can do it. You can do 10 of these, and then most of you haven't finished the security stuff, so I thought I'd give you time to do that. If you're totally done with that, I guess it can be a short day. These won't take very long. And then we'll do next time, the other thing that was listed for today is the agent, but that'll take longer, so we'll do it next time. It'll take a while because it involves setting up users and setting up, it's kind of related to what we did with the management, but it gives you a little bit finer control. I'm going to stop the video this time so it doesn't have a long tail.
I'm not sure about that.
So it's just to run 10 of those sys queries of different kinds. I mean, it's really pretty simple. Probably too simple. That's the problem.
So they're all listed. It is called sustainable.
Into any database, except master code. Go into like yeah, and then go to views, and then go to system views. So any 10 of those you want.
but it's not specified.
Yeah, I just want you to play with them, find ones that look interesting to you.
So when is this like practically being used?
So this is when you need information about
Database itself.
the database, right? And particularly, so let me stop this.